I'm going to give it a try. Because I want to feel the burn.
Oh, there you go.
I want to talk about the experience.
There we go.
And I want you to as well.
Just a teeny one. You don't need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yes. Hey everybody, it's Matt. Wrestling with Whiskey is back with another episode of Straight Shooting, and I feel like I say this every time, which I guess is a good problem to have, but probably one of the episodes that I'm the most excited for. We are not getting just one, but two guests, both of which I've been dying to talk to for a long time and will entertain the pants off you. And they are the former IIconics, Jesse. I know, I'm better than this. Wait on, hold a second. I got two people. This is Showbiz 101, right? I did intros for a year and a half of my life. I should be better at this. So it's, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest export Australia has ever seen coming to the United States of America and the world through your television screens. Ladies and gentlemen, Jessica, Cassie, the current and always, no matter how you spell it, IIconics. Welcome to Straight Shooting. How are you guys?
That was a killer intro. Thank you.
It's been a while.
Very cinematic of you.
Yeah, love it. Good job, mate.
Hey, I do what I can. So, you know what? I'm going to start right off with the hard-hitting question. The stuff people, the tea, the dirt, the stuff people really want to know.
All right.
Are you going to do the wrestler thing? And now, like, if and when you do an appearance or something together, you're going to be the IIconics with one eye to avoid you change one letter. I'm going to be Aiden English, for example.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I actually never thought about that. Isn't that crazy?
It's so funny when I see it. Yeah.
Which part?
Like to be the IIconics with one eye. That never crossed my mind.
No, I feel like our brand is the two eyes. Like you can't change the two eyes.
If you can't do it, you may as well not. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So too iconic or no iconic.
Yeah.
But what about an X?
An X?
Yeah, and instead of a CS, an X. IIconics.
Oh.
That looks cool. X's are always cool.
Yeah. Very badass.
It's very cutting edge, you know what I mean?
We are badass.
Yeah.
It's very
we
true.
Are cool.
That's very true.
So maybe that is something we could pull off.
Yeah, you're getting our minds working right now. I like it.
Absolutely. That's what I do. I'm an idea man over here. But no, so for real, how have you guys been?
We're getting better each day. I would say the first maybe month and a half since we got released, that was a rough time. And just going up and down and through the emotions. One day it's we feel great and we're excited and there's freedom and opportunity, and other days it's I just never pictured myself in this position. So it was tough, but I feel like we're getting better.
We're getting better. Like Cass said, some days I would call her crying, and some days she would call me crying, and then other days we'd text each other and be like, we're fucking awesome. We're going to take over the world. And then the next day we'd be like, meh. So it was just such a roller coaster of emotions, but we're definitely looking forward to the future and just really trying to stay positive and just work our asses off. We all have we've got new goals that we want to achieve. So we're just working towards that.
Yeah, dude, obviously, I can relate to the feeling and everything like that. And, at least, the one kind of bright side I would think this timing a little bit is it looks like we're on the other side sort of some of this stuff. Things are starting to happen again. So for a lot of the wrestling world, not just the whole crop of whatever the hell just happened at WWE, but just indie wrestling and all these other companies are they're seeing momentum start to build and stuff again. So that on top of, I know it seems like a small thing and it was to me at first too, but just the freedom to do shit like this, to do what your guys' show that you're doing, and we'll definitely talk about that. It seems insurmountable, I don't know, is it going to be successful? Is it going to be good? How far are we going to be able to take? But trust me, as you get more and more into it, and then, I don't know, you have a lot of really cool stuff ahead of you. I'm very, very sure of it. And
Thank you.
it's going to be fun. And today you're going to drink a little hooch with me.
Oh, I'm nervous. I'll be
too.
honest.
Me too.
It's
I'm
okay.
nervous.
I'm your what I'm trying to think of a clever word, like your booze baron, your straight shooting shaman. I am here to guide you through this process. You are not alone.
I love that.
You are not alone. That's my whole thing. And the whole thing is I love getting unfiltered opinions from people who maybe don't even normally drink this stuff. It's kind of like it's when you ask your uncle Jim about what he thought about Raw, and he's like, I don't know, who is that one guy? I don't like him, and you're like, really? Why?
But everyone says they like him, but then it's like you're getting an outside opinion on why they don't like him, and it's like, well, I think we should actually take this into consideration.
Yeah,
we all like him, but no one else does. It's like, what are we even doing?
Yeah,
exactly. We got to learn. We got to be able to see it from all angles and everything. So
that's an interesting point, because I feel like I cannot tell the difference between alcohols.
Yeah,
you know what? And it's one of those things. Like this show is flawed from the very start. I'm admitting that now, because it is like it's an acquired taste. It does take some buildup of like tolerance and taste and everything like that. But I kind of also just want to show you, even to someone who's never touched it before.
Yeah.
A lot of people, it's like, whiskey is whiskey kind of thing, right? It all burns and tastes the same. But I'm like, if I could just get a little bit to sit with it for a second. Each three of these, you'll notice a little different thing. You may say I'll never do it again, but you'll notice that these three different things are different. They have their own little appreciation.
Yeah.
So,
and we're trying new things.
Yeah.
You know, we're up for the challenge.
Yes, this is a time for exploration.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. Sow those. It's not. I don't know. It's not sowing wild oats. I don't know what it is, but it's something.
Yeah, it's something.
It's something. All right. Well, then screw it. Let's kick it off. Let's go with the first one. Again, you don't have to dunk the whole thing out. Just a little. Yeah, just enough for a little sip.
There we go.
And so, yep.
Oh, I smelled it.
So, hey, you jumped before the shaman said to jump.
Sorry.
Do you do like a swirl like wine drinkers do? Do you sniff it? Is it?
So you do. There's three parts to tasting whiskey. Yep.
Oh.
There's the nose, the palate, and the finish. And this is pretty standard for wine,
it's like a match.
vodka. Yes. Oh, holy shit. I never really thought of it that way. Oh my God. The nose is the shine. The palate is the heat. Yeah, like you're in it. You're suffering through the burn, but you're kind of trying to enjoy it. And then there's the finish with the feeling it leaves you with. Oh my God. All right. I gave you a couple ideas. You repaid the favor and gave me a couple ideas. Hot damn. This is called collaboration.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, so no, so don't swirl it, because with wine you can swirl. It's very low alcohol. But with this, because we're in a higher alcohol setting, it generally kicks up the ethanol when you swirl it, and so it'll make it go punch you in the face with burn. So let it settle.
You don't want that.
Yeah, let it settle. And when you sniff it, give it a little, like, keep your mouth open. It sounds so silly, but like
breathe through your nose.
Yes, but it allows more. Yeah, it allows your olfactory senses to kind of open up.
Oh,
I wish you had told her to block her nose and try and breathe.
How do I do that?
Yeah.
I have a very bad sense of smell, so if this punches me, that's saying something.
And you don't have to like jam, in there. You just hover it over there, keep your mouth open, because it'll stop it from punching you in the face so much. So yeah, so give it a very light. Yep, you can hold back a little bit, and just give me your initial impressions.
I don't mind it.
Okay.
I can smell it.
From here, I'll give you this. Look, from here, it's not too bad. Not too shabby.
Yeah, I'm nervous still, but it's not too bad.
Sure. All right. I mean, sweet. Is it hot? Is it kind of bitter smelling? Is it?
I feel like it's burned. It's a burning.
Sure, that'll be there. Yeah.
I can just smell alcohol. I just know it's strong.
Sure. No, and like I said, you're brand new. That's fine. So
I'm gonna take a stab in the dark and say it's sweet.
Okay.
You know what? And I'll flip it and I'll say a little bit spicy.
And you know what? You're both right, because there are no wrong answers. It's just like wrestling. It's subjective, right? There is no one way to do
wrestling, it's all a work.
it. Yeah. Yes. More or less. It's all advertising.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down. Doesn't matter. It's all the same shit. They just advertise it different. No. All right. So on this one again, now we're gonna taste it. Just a little sip, and if you can, I know it'll probably be hot. Let it sit on your tongue. If you have to like swish it around, we're not shooting this.
Okay.
So it can be a very, very tiny sip, but let it sit in your tongue. If you have to like swish it around with some saliva to kind of kill it a little bit, but get the taste, just a teeny bit, like an eyedropper. Cheers.
Good luck. I'm nervous. It is spicy.
It is spicy.
It's just staying on my tongue.
Yep.
I feel like you took a big sip. No. Oh.
Good.
Yeah. Good.
These are good notes.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, is it just staying on your tongue?
Yeah, I feel dehydrated all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So it can be very drying.
Cool.
Do you have water or something?
Yeah, one sec.
You might want to just a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So now, again, I mean, anything different than when you like smelled? Was it way hotter than what you smelled? Did you get the sweetness at all that you smelled too, or what?
I got no sweetness.
Nothing.
I was way on Jess's team on that one. I was like, no, it's spicy.
Definitely spicy.
And I feel like my tongue is numb now.
Well, sure. Again, higher alcohol volume, it has a numbing effect. That's why we put alcohol on wounds and stuff like that. It's an antiseptic.
I was just about to say, it sounds so stupid, but it just tastes like straight alcohol. You're giving us a hard liquor.
Like rubbing alcohol.
Yeah.
And it is.
Like I've opened up one of those packets and just gone,
Just wipe it on your tongue. And so then the third part is the finish, which is kind of what you're talking about now.
Okay.
Which is it's after you swallow it, it lingers with you. Sometimes it's like drying on the roof of your mouth. Sometimes your tongue. Sometimes you get totally different flavors. Like it'll be like a dried peach or dried apple kind of thing. Whereas on the front it was cinnamon and caramel, and then on the back end it's kind of like dried apple and stuff.
Do we have one of the peach ones in here? Did you give us a flavorful one?
That's not a sin per se, but in the whiskey community, it's the flavored ones are not looked down on, but it's kind of like it's like kitty pants. It's like it's like sure, no, like if you like it, you like it. But if you're a real fan, you drink the
you don't
the real stuff.
Around that shit.
We are learning today.
Love that.
Wow! I told you. And I'm here to.
My nose is running too.
Oh,
there you go. Yep. Get it in ya. Sorry. Made her burp too.
Well, we just got our cold open right there. Fantastic.
Jess and Cass.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry about that. Not very ladylike.
No, that's quite all right.
No.
There's no such thing. You know what? Everybody, we're all human-like. All right?
Yeah.
You do what you do. You're damn right.
Love it.
So, well, before we move on to our number two, you mentioned it earlier or whatever. Tell me, and anybody, I don't know if there is anybody who's not familiar, but for anybody who's, newer here, tell me about Off Her Chops. How is that going? What was the idea behind it? And, what got you to start it?
It was an idea that we'd had for a while.
Yeah.
It was something that we'd always wanted to pitch, but just never got the opportunity to. We just thought that it would just be so much fun to do a podcast together. So when the release happened, it was one of the first things that Cass said to me. She's like, you know what? We'd be great at a podcast.
Well, so we first got released and Jess was like, I want to just take some time and grieve this and then, kind of then start discussing like what we kind of want to do. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to give you that. But then the next day I was like, I can't wait. I'm sorry. I don't mean to put pressure on you, but let's do the podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like we've just needed a creative outlet where all the decisions were ours. And like we would obviously drive together to all these towns, and we always used to say, man, if we could record this, like I think people would enjoy it.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I did tell her, I was like, I just need some time. But the next day when she texted me, I was like, oh, I feel like it's what I needed to hear. And it was nice to say, no, you can take your time too, but let's start doing this because it's going to help, and it's going to really be like beneficial for our mind. And it's a way that we could, like Cass said, be creative. And, you know, something that we built together from the ground up, from the title, from the graphics, from, you know, setting up all the profiles to organizing the segments each week and to recording. Like it's something that's ours completely. So it's really special to us.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of put it right there. I mean, would you almost say like, I mean, cathartic in a way?
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yes. And we're having so much fun with it. It's something that I look forward to every week.
Yeah.
I love when it comes out and then I listen to it back and I toot my own horn and I say, we are so funny.
Yeah. She's like, we're fucking hilarious. And I'm like, damn right we are.
Yeah. No, and that's, you know what? And that's something you can't like fake and everything and stuff. And so many people, and I'm speaking personally here doing this, there's also a lot of, depending on what a lot of podcasts are obviously like interview format and stuff like that, like this, and which is something, so like I'm solo operation here. And so like I got to arrange guests and make sure people's schedules. The nice thing about you guys can do that, but having that kind of like that co-host kind of feeling, you always have a conversation. You always have a banter back and forth. And obviously with so much chemistry and so much history, that's so already built. You don't have to build that like a lot of people who start a new show do. So you've got that going for you. So which is awesome.
Thank you, darling.
So tell me, I mean, again, and I've talked to you guys about this a little bit before, but like how far back do you guys go? I mean, like I feel like it's one of those. It's 20 freaking years or something. I don't know how accurate that is, but like when was the first time you guys met? Yeah.
I would say my first like memory of Jess was when I started high school, which would be 2005.
Yeah, and that's where we started from there.
Yeah.
So it's what, 16 years?
Wow.
Right? Yes. 2005.
Is it? I don't know. Yeah.
16 years.
Yeah.
So we kind of count our friendship from there, just because that's like when the start of
our memories.
Yeah, when we had memories of each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, 16 years. So you were almost there, almost at 20.
You're getting close. You guys got to,
I was just about to say, we should throw a like 20th anniversary party. It'd be great. On off our chops. It'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, you're already kind of like the old married couple. You don't know how long you've been married. You're like, what was it? 1980 what? I don't know.
Oh man, yes, yeah. It's been a long time. But yeah, that's when we kind of came into each other's lives. So we went to the same high school in Sydney, Australia.
The other side of the world.
The other side of the world. We were at the same wrestling academy. We had our tryout together. We got signed together. We lived together when we moved over here. Then we debuted together. We're a tag team for almost 3 years.
5.
So, on the main roster.
She's forgetting these details.
Oh, see?
I'm at the main roster. Shit. And then, and then we got released together. So it's just been
everything together.
Absolutely.
Everything. Literally. That's so fucking good. So you went to the same wrestling school and stuff like that. Was that a thing you guys had even before you decided to go to wrestling school? Was that a decision together, or was that just another kind of like happenstance? Like, oh shit, you're here too.
That was purely fate, because so we've known each other since 2005, but we did not like each other between 2005 and 2009. Okay, so
wait, why?
Yeah,
because we were wrestling fan rivals. I was the bigger wrestling fan. She thought she was the bigger wrestling fan.
Yep.
We would like try and get closer in the like meet and greet lines than the other one, and whoever was closest would like shoot like winning looks to the other one.
And this is like 05, so was there one who liked John Cena and one who hated John Cena?
I was a huge John Cena
and I didn't care.
Yeah,
right. we had never spoken before. That was the crazy thing. This was like a silent rivalry, which sounds absurd right now, but when you're 15 years old and you're thinking, real, who's this chick?
Yeah.
But yeah, then Cass joined PWA, which I had been there for about a year. And when we met, we were like, are we best friends?
Yeah, when I found out she went there and I felt immediately comfortable with her. Like, I just gravitated towards her. Like, I felt like she was going to take care of me. She has this like real motherly, like maternal like instinct, and I felt that myself, like being younger than her. And I felt like she just took me under her wing, and I was just like comfortable there.
Yeah, I'm still the mum.
Yeah.
This day.
Of the crew. That's so funny. And like, I think, you know what? I don't know if this is the case, but I could imagine too. Yeah, when there's that fandom rivalry, and you're like, oh, I'm the real fan. All these other marks are idiots, right? Yeah. But then is there something with like, then when you see them show up at like, oh, wrestling school, it's like, oh, you take this for real too. Yeah. Never mind. Like, okay, that's cool, kind of a thing.
Yeah, it was kind of like this mutual respect that we had. Sorry, there's a fly.
Yeah, I just saw it.
Get it.
Get it. I didn't get it. It's been in the house since last night, and it's driving me up the wazoo, and I keep seeing it. I'm going to get it later on. It's a big fucking thing.
Oh.
Anyway, so yeah, now we're best friends.
Okay. And there we go. So then I beg the question, I'm asking this to everybody now too. Like in this world, especially like in the generation, like our generation, I want to say, like I feel like there's so many things we could do for like performing. I say this all the time. Wrestling is such a weird thing because like a lot of people who are like, if you're a pro football player, like you play in middle school and then high school and then you go to college and get drafted. Like it's kind of a set track sort of thing. And it's not all the time, but often like actors. You're a child actor, then you do it in high school and college, and then you go to blah blah blah. Yeah. But wrestling, I feel, draws from like so many places. You got athletes coming in. You got like comedians and actors, and you've got like goth kid nerds who want to be wrestlers. Like everybody wants to be wrestlers, and they come from all kinds of like. So for you guys, like when it came time to like, I'm gonna do this shit. Why pro wrestling and not acting or sports or XYZ? Why pro wrestling?
Well, so I grew up a dancer. Since I was 3, I danced, and I absolutely loved it. And I was just such a big fan of wrestling, but it never crossed my mind, especially living in Australia. It's like the world of opportunity there is just so much smaller than it is here. So I loved dancing, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up. But then when I was 13, it just crossed my mind. I was like, oh, I want to be a wrestler. And ever since that moment, I was like, I'm going to be a wrestler. And I continued dancing the whole time because I couldn't start wrestling yet. But I just always knew that's where I was going after dancing. Like I was going to dance until I started wrestling. And then they crossed over for a year, and then I completely let go of dancing because wrestling just totally took over my heart. And I was like, this is it for me.
Yeah, I had something similar too. I was a basketball player my whole life. And then when I started, I was a fan for so long since I was like 10. And then I want to say I was about 15 or 16 when I was like, I really want to do this with my whole life. Like that's what I want to do. And then luckily enough, my brother who got me into wrestling, his friend was starting PWA. And it just worked out perfectly. I was there for their first ever training session that they ever had.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the first day they ever opened the academy, I was there, and I just stayed there. That's how I got trained. And they're in Sydney, so I was really fortunate just to kind of be able to like have that familiarity.
Sure,
familiarity.
That's it.
I'm great with English. To start at a school that I felt comfortable with. And then the same thing, I was still playing basketball, and they did kind of overlap. But I knew that wrestling was what I wanted to do. I kept playing basketball though until we moved here.
Oh, really?
So I was able to still do both. But obviously when I moved here, that kind of stopped happening. I still miss basketball. I love it. But like Cass says, once you find like your purpose in life and what you want to like dedicate your whole life to, everything else is just going to be second place. And I definitely think with wrestling, you have to dedicate your whole life to it. Otherwise, you're not going to achieve what you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a very obvious, you guys know you have to love it, and you have to work for it. Cause like it is often not a business that will love you back inherently. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It can beat you up and spit you out, and very quickly if you let it, or if you don't care, or if you don't love, the work of it, not just TV time and stuff like that, but the work of getting in, taking bumps, and learning matches and practicing and stuff like that.
That's the funnest and easiest part of it. Like the hardest part is all the traveling you do.
Oh yeah.
You know, all the damage your body takes. Like you've got to love that part of it too. Otherwise the fun part, the wrestling part, is like it's not enough, because you get to do that if you're lucky 10 minutes at a match.
Yeah. And I always thought that, like, you know, so we grew up as like wrestling fans, right? But I always, like, there was a time when it clicked to me. I think we had just come up on the main roster, and I was like, oh wow, the childhood dream of becoming a WWE superstar, you kind of have to leave it. Like, it's like when you debut, you have to leave it and just put it away in a box. Otherwise you'll just destroy it, in my opinion. And you have to really think about the reality of working for WWE in the business aspect. You have to separate the two. Otherwise you'll kill your childhood dream, and then you'll become bitter and hate wrestling. And it's just, there was a time where I was like, wow, you really have to separate it to keep the passion and the love for it, but then still understand this is a business and they need to make money, and, you know, all those other factors that go into running, you know, a $1 billion company.
Yeah, no, that's a really, I never really thought about it. I think I knew that inherently, but like never really thought about it that way, because it's true. Because if you go in with your heart so set on certain things and that dream, it can very easily get crushed, especially in a business that moves like WWE does. But if you can understand the grind of it and everything, and then but still be able to pull yourself back every so often and be like, hey, I was on motherfucking TV like this week, even for 5 minutes or whatever. That's pretty fucking cool. And you have those moments, and then you put it back in the box and you go back to work and the grind.
That's what was awesome about being a tag team, was because we always used to like check each other when we were getting a little bit bitter or a little bit like frustrated, but then also remind each other, you know, and this was something like, even when we broke up as a tag team, like we would text each other. I would text her every Monday for Raw. She would text me every Friday for SmackDown, checking in, seeing what we were doing, and like being each other's hype person, because no one else is going to do that for you.
Yeah.
And it's hard when you're in a slump.
We have each other to do that, because a lot of people don't have someone to do that for them.
You know, so that was something that we always like continued to support each other, to make sure that we were like, you know, really just appreciating the moment and what we had.
That's true. And that can't be overstated to anybody out there like who's not in the business or whatever. Like it's such a funny thing, because we're all together so much, but you're still so much on your own in a lot of things. And definitely. I've said this, and I don't know if I've ever said it to you. I'm like, in the world of like WWE, where everything is, you know, it is what it is, and it's all very presentational. A lot of it's not real and all this stuff. I'm like, there are two groups of people who are very, very real, and that's you guys and New Day. And I'm like, the two people where it's like, you know, that you no matter what happens to them, like, okay, creative could fuck them over, they could do all this stuff, but you know that they're hanging out in real life, they're talking, they're gonna do their damn podcast together, same, just like you guys. No matter what the BS in between is, that's like a real thing. Whereas many groups, and I can speak to this personally, I was just like, when you split up creatively or whatever, it's like, cool, I'll see you in the locker room. That's kind of it. But you don't talk nearly as much and all that stuff. So
wow, I never realized that. That's such an interesting like fact that you just brought up, because I totally agree. And we like got a lot of our inspiration from the New Day. Like they helped us massively.
Oh yeah.
When we first debuted, they were like, you know, just letting our minds be so creative, and they would be like, yes, use that, do this better, make this more of a spectacle, maybe don't do that, try this, and they really helped us really bring the IIconics to like larger than life, instead of just being a little bit generic.
No, they did great stuff. Like they did the same thing like me and Rusev and everything like that. They're such a giving group of guys and everything like that. And have mastered, which again, like you guys did very well too, just mastered that ability to like, hey, you can be like this is still wrestling. You can be entertaining and kind of over the top and totally wild, but like also be really good at what you do. It doesn't have to be one or the other, which is something I've always hated people seeing cast in certain roles. You're either the cartoon and you're put in this corner, or you're all black and you're a badass and you're swearing on TV in the main event. You know what I mean? There's no in between. Exactly. And I'm like, why can't you be like funny and like entertaining and like wild? And then ding, ding, ding. Yeah, and then you can still kick ass when it's time to go.
Ogres, 100%. I like onions.
Ogres, I like onions. Stinks, yes, no. Sorry.
No. Inside jokes, ladies and gentlemen. We're on the outside. It's okay. No, but it's very true. So, all right, with that, let's move on. Let's move on to sample B.
Okay. B.
Hopefully your tongues are a little numb now, so maybe it won't be as much of a shock.
Yeah.
So same process here. Just give it a light kind of. See if this one it smells different. Is it sweeter? Is it weirder? Is it spicier? Is it more bitter?
I'm struggling to smell this one.
Okay.
This is weird for me because it smells a lot stronger than the first one, but it's a sweeter smell for me.
I don't get
Okay.
So I kind of feel like I'm contradicting myself, but it's like a strong sweet smell.
And I tell this a lot, but like you're actually like, again, there's no wrong answer, but given what this is, it actually makes a lot of sense. And I'll explain at the end.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Humans are better at a lot of this shit than they think they are. Like, just because you don't, I'm like, this is all sensory, and we do have senses for a reason. They do pick up on certain things, and it all makes sense.
Can you smell?
No.
No, all right.
I felt like I could smell it at first, but then when I went in for a secondary smell, nothing.
It was, I had to go in hard to get a sense from this.
Hard.
So I had to really open the mouth and nose.
Open the mouth.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I don't think you can know this one. It's subtle.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Give it same thing. Give it a little. See if you can let it sit on your tongue a little bit. Just it can be like a drop. Good. Similar, different to the first one. Tastes different from what you smelled on it originally.
Yeah, I do actually think this is sweeter. I'm getting the burn, obviously, and my tongue is like knives just like in my tongue.
Okay.
But I feel like I'm getting a little bit of a sweet, something.
It's definitely like how it smells. That one to me was way stronger than A, but it was sweeter.
Oh, you think it? So, Cass, you didn't think it was stronger necessarily?
No, but maybe it's because of my nose that I thought the first one was stronger.
Because you could smell that.
Yeah.
Okay. Could be. That's interesting. Okay.
You're writing this down?
Well, yeah, because I'm looking at it, I'm like, why would, I'm trying to, because even me, I'm still learning, and I'm trying to like, because I'm trying to think of ways I could, because I eventually want to do like whiskey events and stuff too.
Yeah.
Like, host these things. So like, I want to think about how I can like teach people things or like what I can try to point there. So this is research for me too.
Oh,
yes,
good.
I love that.
Wait, so Matt, darling, you would fill this with some ice and just pour a whole thing in and just drink that.
But that's dilute, so, right?
Ice. Ice.
Oh no, you don't do ice. I thought it was on the rocks. I thought that was a thing.
No, it is. But I don't ever use ice. I drink it straight.
Wow, he's a straight shooting man.
I'm a straight shooter.
He's a straight shooting man.
With his whiskey, no ice,
not on the rocks.
But that said, I still like. I am a firm believer. Drink how you want. Many people do. I sometimes will have like one ice cube. I do the super pretentious things sometimes with like
stones.
No, oh no, that's a no.
Oh no.
Sorry, okay.
Ooh, I hate those.
Oh.
They chip your glasses. They chip your teeth. They add either like a rocky or metallic-y taste to it.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I do eyedropper of water though. Sometimes just add like 2 or 3 drops of water, and it can totally change the profile.
Actually, that's interesting you say that, because we had a girls' night recently where we just, it was right after we got released, and we're like, let's just get lit.
And
forget our problems. And he just made it so. He's just taking to another thing. For some reason here in America, they just free pour the alcohol. In Australia, like it is illegal to pour more than 30 mils.
They measure that. They have a little measuring thing, and it's $10 for a shot.
Yeah.
Here they're just like,
They
yeah,
free
extra
pour it.
$2, mate.
So
Pour it in.
on our girls' night, I was like, this free pour is too strong. So I kept, with my straw, I would pick up like a bit of water and then dip it into my strong drink.
Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah.
Changed it, yeah.
Yeah, it does. I mean, water immediately, that's what changes the proof level from, because a lot of these whiskeys, they come out straight out of their barrels or whatever at 130, 140 proof, which is 70% alcohol.
Oh.
And they add pure water, because it's usually in America, that's all you're allowed usually to add, to bring it down to whatever 80 proof or 90 proof, what is 40 or 40%. So that's all.
Okay, so the higher the proof, the lower the alcohol percentage.
Opposite. The higher the proof, the higher the alcohol.
Okay, got it.
Do you want to know where proof came from?
Where?
So you'll see proof, and that it's on everything. It's on wine. It's the ABV, alcohol by volume, right?
Okay.
Wine is like 8-9%. Beer is like 6-7%. Spirits, tequila, all that stuff is usually 40% or more. But it's kind of confusing because like ABV is simple. 40% of this bottle of what's in here is pure alcohol, right? So that the percentage, but proof is double that. So if it's 40% alcohol, it's 80 proof. If it's 45% ABV, it's 90 proof.
Oh, you just double it. Okay.
And where that comes from is like the 1700s, when when whiskey was first gaining popularity and all this stuff. They would throw the test to see if it was fully proved whiskey, like good, like quality whiskey. Is you throw a little bit of gunpowder into the barrel, light it on fire, and if it lit, it was fully proved, and that equaled 100 proof, which was about 50% ABV.
Oh my goodness.
And then from there, they've just gone and adjusted it over decades and centuries and everything. But that's the impetus of where it came from.
That's where it came from.
Wow.
Yeah. Look, we're learning history here with you today.
It is. Especially bourbon. The history of bourbon in America is kind of like American history. You want to know another fun fact that's ridiculous and super America?
Okay.
So there's an act called the Bottled and Bond Act, which was enacted in 1897. And it was the first ever consumer protection law passed in the United States federally.
Oh.
And it was about whiskey, because before that, people who sold whiskey could kind of do whatever the hell they wanted to it. Like people they buy from a distiller and then throw tobacco in there, spit. Wow. They would spit it. They would put like arsenic in it. They would anything to make it look darker, oil, all this horrible shit.
Oh my gosh.
And sell it because, look how dark my whiskey is. It's better than that, guys. And there was no regulation. So a couple of people got together and put the Bottled and Bond Act, which basically said it had to be made in the distillery at this way, this process, so on and so forth. There's a lot of rules to it, but basically that. But first ever consumer protection law, I believe 8 years before we did the Food and Drug Act. So we protected our whiskey almost a decade before we protected our food and drugs.
Oh, wow.
America.
They're like we need this done right. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's the most like American thing.
I think,
I could think of.
100%. 100%.
Yeah,
wow.
Absolutely. All right. Well, with that, let's finish off this last one.
Okay.
And then there's a small theme between these.
Oh, you don't have to drink it all. Relax yourself.
This one looks a bit darker.
Good observation.
Hey.
100%.
Yes.
Nice. Yes, proud of you. Okay.
Absolutely. Color that is another part of it. I don't emphasize that process a lot, especially in like American whiskey, because they're all they're varying versions of copper. Like sometimes in like Scotch and stuff and wine, you get a lot more difference in color, but like American whiskey, it's all pretty similar. So all right, same thing here. Give a light nosing. See if Cassie can actually smell something this time. Give it a good old light nosing.
Oh,
yeah.
This one I can actually stand.
Yeah.
Like it's not hitting me in the face.
Okay.
I'm trying to get what does it smell like though? I'm gonna say fruity.
Ooh.
Put one in there.
Well, no, like fruit, like not.
But she's
not peaches, but like fruity.
That's actually really good. Yeah. Jess is knocking this out of the park. Let me just say that.
I'm an acrobat drinker. What are you getting, mate? You can't smell shit, can you?
So when I first went in for it, I got like a punch in the nose, but then as I got closer and closer, I lost it.
No.
I don't think it's strong.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't. This seems like less alcohol.
Yeah.
Than the others.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right. Little taste on the tongue. Again, differences, similarities.
That one burnt the most down my throat.
Okay.
That one didn't. That was like the least amount for me.
Okay.
What?
So still the
Yeah.
least strong for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That was the only one that burnt my throat.
Okay.
I don't know. If
Everybody's
this will make
different
sense.
too, which is
Okay,
yeah.
I don't know if this will make sense. This tastes like the cleanest one. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Like
Did you get any of the fruitiness that you smelled at all?
It's like a refreshing fruity for me.
See, I'm getting spicy again.
Okay. Which again, all of this is very common amongst many whiskeys. So you're picking up on very real things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So all right. So if you had to rank them, 1, 2, and 3 from A, B, and C, how would you
As in,
do it?
our favorite?
Yeah, as in like again, I know none of these are things you're gonna go home and be like, yeah. But like if you had just gun to your head kind of thing, like favorite to least favorite.
Which is your favorite?
B.
B, okay.
B. Okay, wow. That was my least favorite.
Wow.
Yeah, I would go C
Okay.
as my number 1, and then I'd go A for number 2,
I too would go A,
and then my third would be B.
and mine would be C.
So your favorites are opposite, but the middle is the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Well, let's get to the reveal. I'll explain a little bit about these. The people at home will get a kick out of this. So,
Okay.
Since you had a little different, I'll just go in the order we drank them.
Okay.
So the first one, which I feel bad because the bottle is now empty because between sending you those and now I finished it. So,
Great
so-
night.
there wasn't that much left in it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry. It's not like I
Half a
slugged
bottle,
this.
it's fine.
So the first one is this bottle. It's called Buffalo Trace Bourbon.
Okay.
And I should say too, I'm trying to do a theme with everybody. Yours, playing with words, is iconic brand.
Oh, I love that.
So this is a brand. So the Buffalo Trace is made by the Buffalo Trace Distillery. They're kind of there's a love-hate relationship with them in the whiskey community because they make really good stuff, but their stuff is often really hard to get.
Just like us.
Yes, like great, but rare. Yeah, so this is kind of admittedly kind of one of their entry level bottles. In theory, it should be the one that's kind of everywhere, and it probably is the easiest one to find of their lineup. But this is kind of an intro one. And then I always like this one. It's a solid one. It's usually about 6 to 8 years old. This one is 90 proof, so at 45% alcohol.
Okay.
Wow. So, which in bourbon is pretty standard. Like most vodkas, tequilas you have will be 80 proof, which is 40%. American whiskey usually starts around 90% or 90 proof, 45%.
Yeah.
So this one, generally people do find a little sweeter and stuff like that. Okay. I always recommend this to people looking to get into whiskey.
Oh,
generally,
wow.
It is like, again, generally lighter than a lot of, there's a lot of really high proof bourbons in American whiskey.
Yeah.
So that was number 1. So number 2, or letter B or whatever. This was whose favorite was this? Your favorite. And then Jess's least favorite.
Least favorite.
Yes. So this is called Weller 12 Year.
Okay.
So this one, yes. I mean, like this is a bottle. Again, I told you about this distillery. They're hard. This one used to be one of those things on the shelf every day for $40. Now you can't find it on any shelves. And if you find it online or something like that, it might be $200 to $300.
Okay, so I have like the expensive taste.
Well, we're not done yet.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
So kind of, yeah. So this one, what's different about this one, and I'm not going to try to get too far into the weeds on this. So bourbon, which is my kind of drink of choice, is made with corn mostly, and then the other ingredient is mainly either rye grain or wheat. So rye is generally a little bit spicier. This is made with rye.
I knew it. Mm-hmm. Oh no, that's what I said.
This is made with wheat, which generally is sweeter, and that's because it doesn't incapacitate the corn, because corn is generally sweet when it's made into an alcohol.
Oh, okay.
And so wheat is not sweet, but it's less impactful than rye, because rye is very spicy, so it kind of takes over. Wheat kind of lays down and lets the corn come through. And so, yeah, a lot of people like this. They find it lighter, find it sweeter. I actually kind of find it spicier. I don't know why I'm weird like that. But yeah, this is kind of a rare, hard to find bottle.
What proof was that one?
This one is also 90. Same as the first one.
The same. Wow, because that one was very stronger to me.
Yeah. And you might be kind of like me in a sense. Like everyone always like, oh, they're lighter, they're easier to drink, they're all this. But I find wheat bourbons like that to be I find them a little bit spicier, a little bit tougher. Like I actually find them a little bit less smooth than like a rye bourbon.
Okay.
And then we move on to the last one, which was Jess's favorite. Mm-hmm. And this is the granddaddy of them all. This is the bad boy of the group. This is the most iconic of this already iconic brand. This is called Eagle Rare 17-year-old.
Oh, I love it. It just sounds expensive.
Oh, yeah, baby. So this is, again, I took the name of the company's Buffalo Trace. They put out every year. It's called the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. Ooh. So this is one of their rare. That is the most sought after collection every year it comes out. You're lucky if you can get one bottle, let alone all five. And again, the manufacturer wants it to be $100, right? Okay. Same with it. This is still, according to the manufacturer, should be sold for $40 to $50. But they don't decide the prices. Stores can sell it for whatever they want. And based on demand, this usually ends up being like, I paid $100 for this because I had it in with the store.
There you go.
I got those connections. So they just made me pay retail. But a lot of stores will put this in a glass case, something like $700-$800 or more.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Okay, you win.
I got that expensive taste, mate.
So again, it should be $100, but yeah. So it's 17 years old, and this is the strongest one. 101 proof.
101. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
just over.
Crazy.
So,
differently.
Yeah. So the reason for what you tasted probably was the more time in the barrel, the older it is, the more those rough notes kind of get rounded out over time. It gets more influence from wood, which can be tannic and sweet and sometimes fruity, depending on where it ages in a warehouse and stuff like that. So generally, even though the proof is higher, it's been aged longer, so it kind of rounds out those rough edges. Whereas like this is probably about 6-7 years old. This is 10 years old. This is an entire decade older than that.
Wow. That's fascinating.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, and sometimes crazy because these barrels, it's a totally wild, expensive process because they sometimes will lose by the time you take it out and put it into a bottle or whatever. 40-50% of the liquid in the barrel is gone from evaporation.
That's what I was just going to ask. It's in there for so long. Wouldn't it evaporate?
Yeah, often it does. Like they call that the angel share because it's the angels get their drink too.
Yeah.
And it depends on.
Quick question. Sorry to interrupt. Which one is your favorite out of those three? I mean,
if I'm pressed, I've had this one for. When did I got this? I got this at the end of the release season was 2019. So I'm coming up on 2 years owning this, and I'm still got a little less than.
Yeah, that's a special one. Thank you.
No, and it's also that part of this process, just like we talked about at the beginning, is it's sometimes to get new people's like, is the fancy one going to impress them the most? Or is the sometimes like Ronnie, when he was on, I think his favorite was like regular Maker's Mark. And I gave him like limited edition Maker's Mark too. And he was like, no, I like this one the best. I'm like, see, sometimes it's not always the most expensive one.
Yeah. I love that little experiment.
Yeah, that's so much fun.
We should do that with our clothing purchases.
Yes, right.
So we do blind tasting a lot in whiskey. I don't know if blind clothes shopping would work. Just walk in, pick something off.
if you took the brand off it and we tried on 3 outfits and then picked our favorite and then revealed the brand.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, because that's a huge thing. And like that's across all like consumer products and everything like that. There's so much hype and focus on brand labels. And it's like, how well is it made? Is it actually like, do you really need to, what are you paying for sort of thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, I think that's actually a really cool idea. You guys should do that. We're just exchanging ideas here.
I know, this is a collaboration.
Great minds think alike.
Yes.
But all right, before we go, and this has been awesome, I do have a couple of just 2 or 3 quick questions from our Patreon community they wanted to throw in. And I swear to God, I didn't pose the question this way, but of course, I think all 3 of these, you might be able to answer them at once because they all relate around Australian snack food. So,
oh, hell yeah. Right up our alley.
Our repertoire.
Yeah. So right up there, Eric Smith wanted to know, what's your favorite snack or junk food from Australia versus the US?
Okay, so I've got 2 favorite Australians.
Okay.
And that is the chicken flavored, oh my gosh, what are they called? Chicken crimpies. The shapes. They're called shapes. The biscuits are called shapes, and my favorite flavor is chicken crimpy. And then mint slices are my other favorite. They're a chocky bicky, as we say in Australia.
Which is what? Is it like a chocolate? Like a mint chocolate?
It's a chocolate with mint in it, which I normally don't like choc mint, but these mint slices are top tier. My favorite.
Yeah, we call them biscuits, but it's like a cookie.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your American one?
My favorite American?
Yeah. Nothing.
Honestly, I don't really love like the snacks and like goodies here.
Okay.
I just think Australia has such high quality snacks, and so maybe I'm a little bit of a snob. I just don't like many snacky snacks here.
Snacky snacks. For me, I do love a Tim Tam. They're like the iconic. Yeah. I love the double coat and white chocolate.
Yes, they're good.
That's probably my favorite. And then America, I do love a Bounty. Love a good Bounty. And then I also like the Hershey's white chocolate with almonds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's probably my 2 favorite. I'm a big peanut butter fan, but I don't really like Reese's, which is strange. Yeah. Some good options here.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's fair. A second question comes from somebody, Joe, also known as Almighty Scorpion, is his screen name. So first wanted to say that despite the craziness and repetitiveness of stories with WWE, he goes, I always found you so both entertaining in your promos and ring work. Now, with more freedom, are we finally going to see the Vegemite recipes that were teased on Up, Up, Down, Down?
Oh, they were.
I think I made a couple of them a while ago and put them on like my Instagram.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It was what did I make? I made Vegemite brownies, which I didn't even know they existed. And they were actually quite nice because Vegemite is just like a real salty.
Yeah, it's an acquired
spread.
taste, I feel like.
So it's like just adding a shit ton of salt to something. So I made brownies with them, which was fun. And then I can't remember what other ones we mentioned, but a good one is a cheesy mite sandwich. So it's just Vegemite and cheese, and you toast it. So it's like a grilled cheese with Vegemite.
Oh.
So that's a really good one too.
I could go one of those right now.
Yeah, man, I've got Vegemite in the fridge. Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, that I would suggest, and I would love if people would just Google Vegemite brownies or cheesy mite sandwich and make it, because you can buy Vegemite on Amazon for cheap. It's just like a little tube.
Like here in the US?
Yeah. You can buy it on
Okay.
Amazon. Yeah.
People, I don't know why people do this. They think you got to put it on a spoon and then eat it from the spoon. You do not eat it like that. No Australian would eat it like that.
No.
So it's a good idea to find a recipe like Jess is saying and test it out that way.
Yeah.
And then finally, Peter Parison, referencing what you just referenced, what is the funny quote? What is the greatest flavor of Tim Tam, and why is it all of them? That's the question.
I'm gonna say it's not all of them.
No, there are some
bubbles because they have a lot of limited edition flavors and I can't get behind those ones.
Yeah, I have my good mate back home. His name's Aaron. He's like one of my best friends. He always sends me care packages of like the new Australian snacks.
Yeah,
and he always sends doubles for Cass as well. So Tim Tams, they've kind of, I want to say for the past like 2 or 3 years, they've got like their basic like 4 or 5 original flavors, but then they start bringing in all these crazy flavors, and I'll try anything. I love a good crazy flavor, but some of them haven't been amazing. They did have like a coffee one, which I loved, and they did have like a it was like a sea salt caramel with something else in it. It was like a double coat sea salt caramel or something.
That was good.
Really, and you can get them at like Target over here, but they're not the same. They're not the same. I think they're like made by an American chocolate.
I was going to say, I bet it's some subsidiary that just makes it a minute. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, because the chocolate in Australia it's
to die for.
It's Cadbury and it's just delicious. It's so different to the chocolate here.
Yeah, the chocolate sucks.
But there are a couple of websites that you can get Australian chocolate and snacks from. So I would encourage everyone to Google that and just buy a bunch because they're so good.
It's another funny thing too, because I think I thought about this earlier when you were talking about the very restrictive like pours in Australia, how they have to measure it out. They are very particular about that stuff because I think even I've talked with like Australian like who are bourbon fans and whiskey fans, and it's hard to get a lot of products there because I think I'm correct here, and my chat and stuff will correct me if I'm wrong. But like the standard bottle size in America it's 750 milliliters. But I think in Australia, they won't let anything over 700 come in like on carts and stuff like that. So like we can't export. So unless we go through the expense of making a new label and a different size bottle, you can't export everything to Australia. And so it kind of makes it a pain. So like it's often very American whiskey is very expensive over there. Because they have to go through a lot more expense to get it there and everything like that. Yeah, it's crazy some of the world rules.
Yeah, it's very different. Like alcohol is very different in Australia. That's one thing that we realized when we came here. Not that we're big drinkers, but you do notice it.
Mm-hmm.
Our bars shut down at certain times. You can't go into clubs after, I think it's like 1:30 or something. Like there's just a lot of like, we have a lot of rules with alcohol.
Yeah, they're very strict.
Very strict. Yeah. And then in serving it and the sizes and, cutoff times and all that kind of stuff. So it's very different to America.
Yeah, 100%. But it's the one continent I haven't been to, and so I have to go.
Have to get there sometime.
Yes.
It's so beautiful. And if you go for a couple weeks, like spend some time there. It's such a beautiful country.
Yes.
Yeah, go for a road trip, mate.
100%. And I'll just have you guys on speed dial, so it'll be good.
Yeah.
Jess and Kat. Jess, what a name! Oh my God, that's your couple name. Jazz. We're gonna be Jazz on the Indies. That's what it is. Jazz. But no, Jess and Cass, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me, going through this wild experiment with me. Before we go, typical podcast mumbo jumbo. Tell us about the podcast. Tell us where you guys are booking stuff if you want. Give us the whole spiel.
Yeah, so you can follow us on the socials. Cassie Lee, what are you?
Jessica McKay.
Jessica McKay, and then Off Her Chops on all social medias.
Booking inquiries, book Cass and Jess at Gmail. That's pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Cool. All the links to our podcast streaming is in our bios and on the Off Her Chops Instagram. So check that out as well.
And when do those release?
So we aimed for Fridays.
Okay.
But we upload it Thursday nights at 11 p.m. mostly because we had a lot of issues like pre-setting and upload. So I didn't want to wait up until midnight every week. So we do it at 11 p.m. every Thursday, and that way people in Australia get to listen to it on a Friday as well.
Okay. Perfect. Well, everybody, please go check them out. Check them out everywhere. Tell everywhere on planet Earth to book them. This is really cool for me, and this was so much fun to do with you guys. And before we close, I do want to say just like two of my favorite people that I had the chance to work. We didn't get to like work on screen a whole ton together, but like everybody out there in the audience, I can't emphasize how much and how nice these two were. Like every time, two of the easiest people, again, like New Day, like a couple of special people in the locker room to me, where it was just like, you come, you sit down in catering and immediately can start having a fun conversation. Not sitting there locked into your phone, ignoring the world. Like you would come, you would ask about me, you would ask about Shaw. Like you guys were just, I don't know, two of my favorite human beings on the planet, and especially to work with and everything like that. So this meant a lot to me that you guys get to spend a few minutes. So
thank you so much for having us on, and we love you. We miss you, and you're an absolute gentleman, mate.
And sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. I just remembered, as you said, we didn't get to work a whole lot on TV, but remember that one time I slapped you?
I was just about to say, she slapped you on TV, mate.
When? What? Yeah, what was that for? I don't even.
Lana and I had a singles for Money in the Bank.
Yeah. We had the sign. What was the sign?
You had the sign
was
and
Lana
the
Day.
microphone.
Yeah.
And then she comes out and slaps you. And then Lana's beating her up behind me, and me and you, and I'm going, she slapped you. And a lot of fun.
Did I take a bump? I should have.
You did. You sold huge for me. Thank you.
There we go.
Hell of a seller, as always. A true professional.
Damn right. Well, I appreciate it, guy. Everybody, again, check them out everywhere. Always be, this is my thing, trying new things, jump into the unknown, take a chance on yourself, all that stuff. And for us here, always, always, always be wrestling with whiskey. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.